Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another round of the Invictus Racing League here at Le Castellet in France. This fantastic circuit, built in the 1960s, is hosting another round for our wonderful championship. I'm Jack TM53, your commentator for the RP League, as it's affectionately known. And we've got a number of drivers getting ready now as we get prepared for the first race of the evening. That is the sprint, of course. And I'm excited to be here once again, commentating on what is a wonderful, wonderful league to be a part of. Le Castellet, of course, well known over the years in Formula One. It has had a number of iterations over time, but most notably one of the most safest racetracks on the Formula One calendar, with the huge extra runoff areas. But today we have heavy rain for the first race. Looks like wet tyres are going to be needed. Those blue Pirelli compounds are going to be out in force. Good evening to everybody who is in the chat at the moment. It's great to have you here. Good to see you, Kelvin, and a few others as well. If you are watching live, do comment who you think is going to get the best performance today in terms of the sprint and the feature race, of course. So do comment what you think. Be good to see your predictions. We have a lot of tricky conditions to start off as well. We are, of course, part way into the season already. This is round 7 for those that are unaware. And Le Castellet, a circuit featuring 15 corners, but it's certainly a track in these conditions that can throw a little bit of a spanner in the works for drivers who are hoping for a dry race. And their setups are certainly going to be impacted by this weather. If you have a car that's much more aligned for the straights, which typically you could have for around Paul Ricard, the problem is now with the wet weather coming down, it's torrential rain, that is going to sap all of the it's going to induce more understeer in these wet weather conditions. So it's vital for the drivers to maintain a little bit of good balance. Those that have a little bit more aero on their car, which I know a few people are doing tonight, I know a few people are running a little bit higher downforce. I'll talk about who those drivers are later. But those that are going to be fancying themselves in this wet weather. And I'm very excited to see how we get on. So in terms of what we have for this evening in terms of the grid order for tonight, it should be Atsu on pole, Keza in second, Cameron third, Phantom in fourth, and Nitrogash in the top 5. That is a very competitive front order. I've got to say, Keza, well known within Invictus Racing League, has been performing well through the number of seasons he's been part of it. Cameron, one of the championship protagonists, right up near the front. So you're going to fancy his efforts to get up to potentially a sprint victory. And we've got to watch out to see how MDJ at the back of the grid, how he's going to make his way through. Mercked again, of course, in the AlphaTauri, who had a wonderful set of races last week at Spa-Francorchamps. But I'm sure that the drivers are giving themselves just enough time to get a setup on the car that will work well for them in these conditions. But don't forget this feature race, it could be very different. So which do you take a gamble on in terms of your setups? Once the car's gone through Parc Fermé, that's it. You can't make any changes. So maybe it's sacrifice a few sprint points to get a better result in the main race on what would officially be the Sunday, of course. So we're waiting just for a few minutes. We don't have a countdown here, unfortunately. I wish we did so that I could tell you when we're getting ready to go. Kelvin also saying, I like a bit of rain. Oh, we all like a bit of rain, a little bit of jeopardy. It does bring out the best in the drivers, these conditions. It is a great equaliser, which is sometimes needed in RP. Just looking to see, I was going to go through the championship standings for everybody just whilst we were waiting, but unfortunately it looks as if we haven't got it updated. But it doesn't matter, we've got a Mercedes and a McLaren on the front row. Let's see how everybody gets on here for the sprint. That's a jump start for Cameron, and away we go. It's Cameron obviously in the lead, but that jump start's going to cost him. Atsu will be second, then it's Keza in third as we approach turn one. Look at the rain absolutely thundering down here in the part of France currently. That's Atsu having a huge wiggle through turn number one. Phantom's there, a little bit of a wobble further back. We all look okay so far. Let's get the tyre. Well, we don't need the tyre compounds on because they're all on wet. Let's turn that off. We don't need that. But we do have Joe Hamster facing the wrong way. Looked like there was some contact early on. We're watching Owen in 5th place. He's already up a few spots. You can see Mercked up 5 spots as well. But these conditions already putting drivers under pressure. Cameron leads. Big slide from Mercked. That AlphaTauri will not be great in these conditions. Simon Palmer's gone facing the wrong way, sadly for him. Phantom under pressure in 4th place. He's remained where he started. Atsu the big loser. Whoa, Atsu's lost it. He's going to go into the wall. He's lost his front wing, and that'll be a pit stop for him. I was just about to come to him. He'd lost a lot of places. He's lost a lot more now. Keza though is making as much gains as he can in these conditions. Is within a couple of attempts of Cameron, who I imagine will bail into the pits at the end of this lap. I'd be surprised if he didn't. Mercked up another place. He's got Owen side by side, 2 more protagonists together for this championship fight, and they're leaning on one another, but they get away with it for the time being at turn 12. Nitro Gash is following them too. MDJ up from the back of the grid. He's up to 8th place. He's in the AlphaTauri this evening. No Ryan tonight as well, so one of the big championship fighters not in for this evening. Or rather, Ryan is. We're following him. I was just concentrating on the other driver around the other side, but we're following Ryan. He's on the inside for Nitro Gash into turn 1. Ooh, that's very close between the two, and that's Keza. Well, Keza's gone off the road and he's left the session. He's out. Wow. I'm not quite certain what happened to him. He was just off the road at turn 1. I don't know if he had contact with somebody, but Cameron still leads. He's decided to carry on. Cameron's saying that he's on the controller this evening, but he is leading away. Keza thankfully has rejoined. Maybe there was a disconnection for him, but Phantom's in 2nd place, so he's going to be looking good for the race lead. Mercked and Owen together on track. That's the Williams of Ryan trying to get past Nitro in the background there. Nitro off the road. And it just needs a good exit from Ryan. He's on the curb. We'll watch it from MDJ. This is free wide. Up towards Sainz corner. Ryan's going to have the straight line speed you would feel in the Williams, but they're together on circuit, MDJ and Ryan. They've got to be careful for Bayes right there as well. He's in front of Nitro, who drops down a couple of spots after that mistake at the chicane. And they all stay together, but Ryan and MDJ getting up places. For Bay moves up as well. And Cameron will have to pit on the next lap if he doesn't do it this time around, and he's carried on again. And Cameron carries on, but it's a battle for what will be the net lead, and sure enough, it's Mercked back at the front. Doesn't matter what car he's in. He's just incredibly quick. 3 successive fastest laps in a row there from Cameron, Phantom and Mercked. Owen there in 4th place. Ryan obviously in 5th position. There's an overtake there. Looks like Martin getting past the Spud for 10th place. So far so good from the drivers. Love to know what happens to Joe though. That's the Spud still fighting away with SFR Martin. Unfortunately, my spectator menu is stuck on Atsu, so I can't move it forward. Merck's into 2nd place. That is very brave on the exit. of turn 7, but Merckx is in front. But this Ferrari will be relatively quick in a straight line, but having said that, Merckx had a lot more to play with in terms of his battery, and he flew past the Ferrari. Oh, that is Owen tumbling down. That's another big slide. He almost collects Nitrogash. Well, I don't think would have been too pleased with that rejoin. But Merckx into second position, and he'll take the lead regardless of wherever he does it on this lap. Cameron will have to go in the pits. He's really struggling, is Cameron. Oh, off the road. Merckx is going to look to the inside. He just stays behind at turn 12. Oh, another big wobble out of the corner. That AlphaTauri, regardless of whether it's Merckx driving it or not. Oh, that might be a questionable one from Cameron going into the pit lane there. And he's got a penalty as well for speeding, so it just makes his day even more miserable. So Cameron goes into the pits. It's Merckx in the lead, up 10 spots. He has the race lead so far. It's Phantom, then it's MDJ with the new fastest lap of the race. Two AlphaTauri seem to be working quite well in the wet, as I'm sure Franz Tost and crew will be very happy with that. It's Ryan in fourth with Fabay following him. Fabay looking quite pretty quick today, has to be noted. He's up from 14th place. Nitrogash is almost overtaking Owen, who's had a wobble somewhere out on circuit, and that's just maybe affected his confidence a little bit. Let's just have a quick look just to double check. Everyone is on the wet tyre. There's only 2 penalties to factor in. Kez's for on-track limits and Cameron's to do his speeding in the pit lane. And of course, Atsu, the only driver to have made a pit stop so far, thanks to his broken front wing that we caught earlier. Gap's just spreading out a little bit though after the overtake from MDJ on Phantom. So AlphaTauri 1 and 2, a Faenza-based squad, are going to be cheering for all they're worth. AlphaTauri never had a 1-2 before. They've had victories, obviously, in the past with Pierre Gasly and Sebastian Vettel back when they were known as Toro Rosso at the time. Never had a 1-2 though. Great driving from both of them in what is the slowest car in F1 23. And it's Phantom, but he's going to get caught, I think. Ryan is once again just doing what Ryan does best. He just plugs along quietly as he goes. He's got Fabay with him. Owen's completely dropped off the back of this group now. And you can see the damage that Cameron's time in the pit lane has cost him, really. You can see he's down in 14th place, right with Simon, who is in 13th place. Credit where it's due to Sir Spud, he's in the top 10. And Cameron's going into the pit lane. Now, is this a change for intermediates, I wonder? We'll keep an eye on it. Let's cut back, though. This is the closest fight on circuit. Phantom in 3rd place. He's got Ryan and Fabay right with him. I'm just going to do a quick change to see if, yes, Cameron has gone for the intermediate tyres. See if he can get a fastest lap point out of it. And don't, of course, rule out a safety car. Atsu with the fastest lap of the race. So Atsu showing some incredible form, but sadly down in 14th. Now Ryan, at that Williams, we know how quick it is. Very low drag on that car in a straight line. Ooh, and that's Phantom just running a little bit too deep into the chicane. Look how close. Fabay's on the curb. He's got to be careful. The curbs at France are very lethal. Some people don't realise how difficult they are to try and drive on, but Fabay was definitely discovering it there. Ryan sat in the wheel track. You can see actually that the line's being dropped by the Ferrari. You can just see it there. It is starting to dry up a little bit. I can't imagine it's going to dry up quickly enough for everybody else before the end of the race, but Cameron will be enjoying those intermediate tyres. It does look like he's gaining on Atsu as well at the moment, and not by much, but just by enough each lap. Simon Palmer going past for 12th place, although Joe is fighting back. A nice snap of oversteer and another snap of oversteer, well held from the McLaren. 2 snaps on the way through, but he got away with it. Those 3 fighting hard for the spots outside the top 10. They're also gaining on Sir Spud. in the Red Bull. So 2 free car fights in the field, the other one further up with Fabay, who is right with Ryan and Phantom. Phantom holding on well at the moment. Ooh, another. So you can see how difficult these conditions are, and Fabay found it very difficult. Out of turn number 7. It's going to have Owen closing the gap down. They might be teammates in the car, but they're not teammates in the championship. Owen not quite close enough, but you see a lot of time lost, sadly, for Fabay. He's over 2 seconds away, and this gives Ryan the license now needed to just worry about attacking. That's a mistake from Phantom. ERS, the battery's going for Ryan. He's going to try and take advantage of that mistake from the Ferrari. He's going to go through before he gets to signs at turn 10. And Ryan is on for another podium. The 2 AlphaTauris up and away. We are on lap 6 of this race. Only 3 more to go in the sprint. Fabay has picked up a time penalty to add insult to injury. That could drop him to 7th because Nitrogash isn't too far away. But credit where it's due, Fabay has closed that gap down a little bit to Phantom and Ryan in front. Cameron is closing the gap now on Atsu, but I think it's going to be too little too late. But look at that, MDJ's in the lead. MDJ has got into the lead. I've not seen it. The moment I looked before and Merckx was leading the race and MDJ is now in front. Well, I haven't seen it on circuit. The gap between them was 1.5. I can only assume that Merckx made a mistake out of the final corner at turn 15. But that is a shock. And now we're going to have a fight for the race lead. Merckx will not be pleased about what he's just done. But look at this. He's got the slipstream. Doesn't look like he's quite close enough for a move coming towards turns 8 and 9. Cameron now setting the new fastest lap of the race. So there's Inters up to speed. Kez has had another disconnection. But this is Merckx. This is the fight for the victory. I'm concentrating on this fight. But don't forget, Fabay and Phantom very close to one another now in 4th place. This is a big test for MDJ in the Realistic Performance League. I've not seen them fight together like this on circuit with just 2 laps to go. This could be an incredible move around the outside at turn 11. Oh, but Merckx just slithering out of the corner. That cost them a little bit of momentum. But you could see how much a race victory would mean to Merckx. He really wants to get on with this. Fabay's also close to the back of Phantom. You can see Merckx trying to take a different line, but MDJ placing his car really well, just stopping Merckx getting on the power, and that was nicely done from MDJ. Merckx going onto the curb, and that's Fabay going past Phantom for 4th. Now he moves up another spot. Let's just have a quick chat. I did see Atsu going into the pit, and he's also gone for the intermediates. They're going both now for the fastest lap point. Fabay now has to try and get on with it. He's got 2 laps to pull away from Phantom. He's got 3 seconds worth of time penalties, don't forget. As you can see on the left hand side of the screen with that black and white flag on the timing tower. Merckx once again closing the gap towards MDJ using the slipstream. There's a yellow flag out there. That is Ginger Tiger going past Nitro. I think Nitro's had a wobble. I don't think he's had a big incident. You can hear the wheel spin of Merckx AlphaTauri trying to catch his on-track teammate. Of course, both of them driving for different teams, don't forget. Merckx and MDJ. Well, we got on the penultimate lap, a big slide from Merckx on-track teammate MDJ there. That was a big snap of oversteer, but he held it well. He has only 1 lap remaining after this. Simon Palmer getting past the Spud for 10th. But we keep our attention drawn to this fight. Merckx hits the back of MDJ, and sure enough, that's good racecraft, just backs out of it. He didn't want to take advantage of it. So give that time gap back as well. Fabey's caught Ryan at a huge rate of knots. Fabey showing some great speed in this wet weather. As we go on to the final lap, Phantom and Owen together now on circuit. Ginger Tiger and Nitro together. It's all just started to close back up, so Spud's just been overtaken by Joe Hamster. Oh, but look at this. Mercked is right there. He's going to come through. He's going to try and make his big opportunity. Look how much he's pushing. But he keeps running into the back of MDJ. He can't afford to keep doing that. And MDJ just planting his car exactly where he needs to. Doesn't want to have a big snap of oversteer. Now he goes. Now he's going to use the battery, as does Mercked. But this is going to be a race towards the braking zone at turn number 8. Onto the left-hand side goes MDJ. Mercked swings out to the right. Battle of the last breakers into the next corner. They're going to go to wheel, but Mercked is pushed out wide. He's got a chance. Can he get the traction? Can he get underneath the AlphaTauri in front of him? Both of them on the battery again. Towards Signs at turn 10. Merck's going to have to try and go the long way round at Signs. This is going to be close. He gets squeezed as much as MDJ dares. And then it's into the double right-hander. Merck's going to be slightly ahead. This is going to be a crunch point here. They make contact and Merckx goes through. Wow, brilliant racecraft. This is not over though. MDJ's trying to get on the power, but he can't quite get there. And Merckx might just have enough breathing room before these final 2 corners. He's just got to take it steady. Is Merckx close enough? Oh, I don't think he is. He's trying to get a better exit. But it's going to be for the sprint race. It's Merckx who takes the victory by 6/10 in the end. MDJ, who was unlucky in second place. Fabey did get past Ryan, but it won't be enough for the podium. There it goes. Ryan ticks in front of Fabey. Phantom ends up 5th, so it worked out for Fabey in terms of getting in front of those 2 behind him, Phantom and Owen. There's the next 3 together. Ginger Tiger, Nitro and SFR Martin all together. Simon Palmer, a result in the top 10. Wonder if he's running a drive setup, we'll see. The 2 McLarens next up to Spud, that's sadly dropping out of the top 10 last 2 laps. Cameron, though, wasn't far away in the end. Had it not been for his time penalty, he'd have finished in front of Keza. Anatsu crosses the line, the last of the intermediate drivers, in 15th place. Well, that was a good scrap for the final few corners. MDJ gets driver of the day according to the game. And the 2 AlphaTauri celebrate a 1-2. So let's just move this forward and confirm these provisional results. It's Merckx with the race victory. It's MDJ in second. It's Ryan, another podium in 3rd place. Fabey with 4th. And round out the top 5 is Phantom. And that is your provisional sprint results. Some really good on-track action there. It was really nice to see it. Just quietened down a little bit in the middle part of the race, but it certainly came back to life. All closed up towards the end of the race, which was great to see. And it's a completely dry race, it looks like. It looks a little bit hazy, admittedly. So there might be some scope for some wet weather later on. Typically when it's hazy like that, you do tend to see some wet weather later on. But we'll find out. We'll find out over the next couple of laps. But we wait here for the main race in Invictus Racing League. We'll see how the drivers get on. They'll be getting themselves ready, taking a moment, thinking about what they need to do for this next race to make it much more positive or even more of the same. So, drivers just preparing. Let's see how we get on for this race. It will be Mercked on the front row with MDJ, the two AlphaTauris. Let's see how they get on in this dry race. That's going to be a little bit more challenging for them. We are still waiting for everything to get underway here at France. This is the Realistic Performance League for those that are just tuning in. Good to have you on board with us tonight. We're looking forward to more action here at Paul Ricard for the race that will be proceeding shortly. And the race is live for the main race. We come towards turn one. Looks like Merck's got a good start. It's going to be MDJ under pressure on Fabay up the inside, but he stays in front. We're side by side with the two cars. It's the two Ferrari powers of Ferrari and Alfa Romeo. Owens on the inside, approaching turn number, what will that be, number 3 and then 4. But Owen is ahead of the Ferrari. It's Ginger Tiger. Then it's Nitro Gash. It's Simon Palmer up to 9th. Joe in 10th place. It's Cameron in 11th. See how he gets on after his trials and tribulations of his drive-through penalty earlier. Martin, Atsu, Keza and then Sir Spud. But it's Merck leading the way. Let's have a look at the tyres. So a lot of the drivers running the medium compound tyre in the top 10 outside of Phantom and Joe Hamster. That's Simon moving up to 8th place, getting past Nitro Gash in the background. Look at this again. This Owen and Phantom fighting for what is 5th place. Phantom really trying to put the wheels in motion, and he goes through on the inside of Sainz. But the top 3, look at the top 3. They're running almost in conjunction. They've hit each other. Phantom and Owen go off the road. But Owen fights his way back in front using the grip of the medium tyres to stay ahead. The front 3 trying to pull away. Ryan's just about hanging on at the moment in that Williams. Fabay certainly running strong this evening. And that is Joe in the pit lane. I wonder if Joe has got some damage to his car as Merck sets the new fastest lap. I just want to go have a little quick check to see if Joe is getting his front wing check. Yeah, you can see his end plate's broken there. So that'll be a change for the McLaren team. He's gone to the hard tyres, see how long they last, whether they can make it to the end of the race. But Merck is in the lead, followed by his AlphaTauri teammate, followed by Fabay in the Alfa Romeo and Ryan in the Williams. Owen is in a second of that, and he's trying to put the gap to Phantom, which will be crucial, because if these 5 can stay in DRS with one another, they'll just breeze away from the rest of the pack. And Phantom on the hard tyres is going to find it very challenging to fend off Ginger Tiger and Simon Palmer behind. Look at the speed of Ginger Tiger towards this chicane here, but he can't quite make an overtake. Simon's trying to go around the outside. That was cheeky. Probably caught Ginger Tiger a little bit unawares, did Simon. I can say now that we're in the feature race that Simon was telling me he's feeling quite confident this evening, speaking with him earlier. And he's actually running a more higher downforce setup than others. So wait to see how quickly he can carve through the field and make his overtakes. But Merck's in the lead as we go around turn 12 for the second time of asking. Ryan in 4th place. They've got a gap to Owen. But Phantom doesn't have a gap to Ginger Tiger right behind him. He's all over the rear wing. Those hard tyres are going to be very difficult to drive on in this race. That is MDJ going across the line, setting a new fastest lap. And the drag reduction system, DRS, is now enabled on this lap. Our drivers can open that rear wing slot and it can gain them up to 15, 16 kilometres per hour. About 10 miles an hour for those that don't use kilometres. But Phantom is going to be under pressure. Speaking of under pressure, one of those drivers is going to be MDJ and Fabey, putting the pressure on Merckx towards this chicane. We're going to have the battery available. The DRS is now wide open. Here it comes. Look at the overspeed from the AlphaTauri on its teammates. Up the inside. Can he keep it? No, he can't quite keep it yet. He hasn't done the move just yet. They two of them lock wheels. They both survive. Fabey's trying to get in the midst of this as well, but he hasn't quite made it through. Ryan's watching this further back, hoping that they all crash, no doubt. But Merck's going to have the inside line for Sainz at turn 9. Great little switchback from MDJ, but he couldn't get under the rear wing. Watch out for Fabey around the outside at turn 11. That was very close. There's a yellow flag out there. That is Joe, I think. He's far, far away on those hard tyres, sadly. But those four have closed back up together again. They'll go again for the next lap. Owen's there too. So Owen's made this a 5-car fight. Ginger Tiger is leading the next group. The Phantom did get overtaken by Ginger. He's now trying to put DRS between himself and the Ferrari. Got to say, the camera angles around the Castellet that we've got access to on F123 are a little bit more difficult to use, just because of how flat the circuit is. But this is the two AlphaTauri. That's Simon in the background trying to go around the outside. What looks to be turn 3 and 4. Couldn't quite make the move stick, but that was a cheeky attempt. And Joe's having some real big difficulties now in that McLaren. DRS again wide open for MDJ. Fabey, he's closing the gap. He looks to have a quick car in a straight line. Ooh, they keep it nice and clean just about, but those are some late moves. Nitro Gash is in front of Simon. And Phantom drops down to 9th place. He's going to try and fight that back, but it's going to be hard to do. Two big fights going on around the circuit. Ginger Tiger's got away from Nitro. But this is the lead fight. And it is Merckx still in front. And looking through the top 5 at the moment, they've all got very differing levels of battery. They're some wildly using them, some less so. And Scotty's saying pretty much exactly what I just covered there in terms of anyone using their battery is going to have a cracking second stint of this race. And Merckx, once again, leads another lap here in the Realistic Performance League. And it's Fabey. I think Simon has now finally got past Nitro Gash for 7th place. He has done. Is that a little bit too soon? Ryan and Owen just about hanging on to the coattails of the front three. Don't forget, this is a track where the undercut is very powerful around France. That's something to factor in. Maybe the drivers strategically would want to look at doing something like that. But those clouds are getting a little bit darker, so maybe the drivers know something we don't. At the front, Merckx is defending down the main straight, but doesn't need to defend too hard. And Ryan is desperately just trying to hang on to this group at the front. He doesn't want to lose DRS, and Owen knows it as well. They know that they can't afford to lose the pack now. And Ginger Tiger on his own in 6th place. Then it's Simon Palmer leading that pack of cars. You've got Nitro and SFR Martin side by side through turn number 10. And that is Martin through. And Martin on the hard tyres. So this is working out very well for the Williams. Ryan, his teammate for tonight, is showing some good pace on the mediums. But those hard tyres could be a very good race tyre later on in the stints. Let's keep an eye on that. In fact, the whole group from 7th of Simon Palmer right the way to Cameron is less than a second between each car, so that's really close between this group. Speaking of really close, MDJ was right with Merckx again. And we're in a little predicament here at this point in the race. And Scotty's actually saying that in the comments there, feels like there'd be a lot more soft tyre runners if rain forecast for any time early in the race. Yeah, I know where you're coming from, Scotty. It does look like the rain is going to come at some point. That's why they're all running the mediums. This time for MDJ, surely. He goes through and takes the race lead. For Bay, isn't quite close enough. He's going to slot in behind. And Merckx will have the chance to save a little bit of battery on this lap. As SFR Martin goes past Simon Palmer for 7th place. One to watch is Martin. If it does rain, and it doesn't rain too early, those hard tyres could be right in the best place for later on. Look at Merckx trying to go around the outside again. Oh, Joe is really struggling. Sadly, he's gone off again at the exit of turn 2. This is one of those circuits where a safety car doesn't typically come out because of the huge straights and the huge runoff areas. There's lots of places for a driver to have an incident, but just stay out of the wall. But we go on to lap number 7. Merckx is there again. This time he's closing the gap towards turn 1. He won't be stupid, Merckx. He'll slot back in, which he does. And he'll stay there for now. He'll try and save himself a little bit more battery before he goes on the attack towards turn 9, where the DRS ends when you approach it on the brakes, of course. Let's see if he's close enough this time around. I don't know if he's going to be quite close enough. He'll certainly start to close that gap on his on-track teammate. I tell you what, though, he might actually be close enough, but he sits behind. So the tactics coming out from Merckx. He's going to try and save a bit of battery for himself. Ryan's keeping up. Owen's keeping up as well. These two want to watch because they might just try and do something a little bit different. You know, if the rain does come, but it comes later on, they might want to try and be on the right tyre at the right time. They're going to follow and just watch what the cars in front of them do. That's Keza going past Atsu for 9th place. SFR Martin and Simon Palmer together on circuit. This is another yellow flag out there, sadly. But we swing round turn 15. It's very tight and difficult right-hander. Ryan spinning up the rears. You can see all the different levels of battery usage. That is Atsu. Oh, Atsu and Nitrogash off the road. I don't quite know what's gone on there, but I'm sure there'll be something to talk about that. They were both off the road. They might have had to come in together at the left-hander at turn 14, but that seemed a bit odd considering where they ended up. And Martin is taking Simon Palmer with him towards Ginger Tiger. Oh, huge snap of oversteer from the Haas. He saves that one. So round number 8 between these drivers in terms of making an overtake, and Merckx knows he's got to try and make that move. Fabay was too close this time. He runs a little bit deep into the corner. That's a safety car. Now, is that Atsu? No, he's having a trouble. Yeah, it is Atsu. He has got a broken front wing. Now, we saw Atsu and Nitrogash had gone off together, but I don't think they were together on circuit. And you can see, yeah, completely broken front wing for the number 99. And I think I've just seen the first spots of rain. There they are. Nitro's got a 10-second time penalty for corner cutting. I wonder what he's done there. Must have been a huge cut. This is a relief for Joe. Joe will be delighted with this. He might just be able to get back onto the safety car. Now, will anybody be brave? Will anyone go into the pit lane and try and chance intermediate? I know it's very early. Yes. Owen has decided he's going to take the gamble and pit on for a new set of tyres. The question is this going to be intermediates? Martin and Simon and Keza are all doing it as well. And I'm looking to see the tyre compound. No. It's a set of hard tyres for Owen. Martin is going past the pit lane. Just saw one of the... Yeah, it was. I thought it was. I just saw the green flash of intermediate tyres. And it was Simon going for them. Martin's doing the same thing. So these guys, they were a little bit lower down the field. And there's absolutely no harm in this strategy. Because if it rains quickly enough and it soaks the track quickly enough, they will make up an awful lot amount of time on the drivers running those medium and hard compound tyres still. Martin, Simon, Keza, Cameron... Nitro's also in the pits, but he's gone back out on the soft, so Nitro thinking it's not the right time. And Atsu's on the intermediates, and Joe's yet to make the pit lane yet. See if he can catch up. Now, I did say typically you don't see a safety car around Le Castellet. I may have jinxed it for everybody, unfortunately. But let's have a look and see whether this will make any dramatic difference to the on-track action. I'm sure it will. So if you are watching, there is a safety car. You are watching the Realistic Performance League here with Invictus Racing. This is round number 7 here at France. We've got a safety car for a broken front wing for Atsu. We didn't see the incident. However, we now have rain falling on circuit. It's not quite heavy enough at the moment, but this is quite a long track. Things can change very, very quickly. It doesn't look as if from this angle, yeah, none of the top 5 have gone in the pits. Not, oh, who is that in the background? That is Owen. So Owen has decided he's in the lead, but he won't be in a moment when they go past that start grid order there. I think Owen is going to go onto the intermediates. He's probably thinking the same thing to try and do something a bit different. It's a long lap. Let's see, his tyre icon should change to intermediates, and it has done. And Nitro is in the pit lane, and Atsu is as well. So Nitro going back onto his set of intermediates. So it is great to be watching tonight. We are only on lap 10. We've still got a long way to go in this race. We're not even at the halfway mark. We've got wet weather falling a little bit harder now, but I don't think it's wet enough just yet. I do also want to say just a quick thank you to our partners, Gridfinder, for creating those opportunities for people to go and explore different leagues across a multitude of games, and to Venturi Studio as well for creating a haven of top tier livery and graphic design, bringing your fantasy into reality. It's great to have them on board with Invictus tonight and throughout the season, creating those wonderful thumbnails that you can see each week on the YouTube channel. Of course, do check out the website and the Discord. Wonderful place to be. Is Invictus a nice community to be a part of? And if you're itching to go league racing, this is a great place to be involved in. There's multiple tiers from 1 to 4 that race on Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday nights, including the Realistic Performance League, which we're watching right now, what I'm commentating on for Thursdays. And we're just coming up to after this race, we'll be on the halfway mark of the season. It is round 8 next week, and the drivers will be heading off to Abu Dhabi for that event. And I think we might be getting another lap of safety car. And I believe that's because Joe is yet to catch the pack. So this weather gives itself another opportunity to just get a little bit wetter. And the safety car goes round again. So Joe Hamster might just be feeling that it's worth putting the lottery on, because he's going to be the luckiest man in the world, because he should catch the safety car. I'd be surprised if he didn't. Well, we tick over the time counter onto lap 11. And we're following Merckx behind the safety car. Now that is just starting to look a little bit wetter. I see some more lines appearing. I can't quite see any spray coming off. Typically when you start to see spray coming off the wheels, that is when it's time for intermediate. But we're not there at the moment. And Joe has gone back into the pits and fitted a set of mediums. Well, Joe might not catch the safety car now. He's going to be 40 plus seconds behind. We'll see though, we'll see, because this could all change. The timing being for Sector 2 is quite early on at this circuit. And Merckx will become the de facto safety car once the Mercedes pits. We would expect it to come in this lap, and there you go, there's the sign. So Merckx now goes off the throttle, or it might have been taken away from him, to be honest, and he will slow down. Joe Hamster putting his absolute foot down to try and catch everybody, but Joe electing, he thinks it isn't worth pitting. But having said that, he's really pushing his hardest. He's just picked up a time penalty. In fact, most of the grid outside of the top 10 have got a time penalty. So, who has made the right call here? Right now, it looks like it's going to be a dry first lap under race conditions. We haven't seen anything to say that the DRS has been disabled yet. That's normally another telltale sign, but we're following MDJ. We're getting ready now for the restart here at Le Castellet. And that's Merckx putting the power down. Slowly but surely. Around the final corner we go. But it's a good launch actually from MDJ. He's going to have a very good chance here towards turn 1. He darts to the outside line. He's going to look for a move potentially at the outside. But he stays behind for the time being, approaching turn 2. Can he get underneath the AlphaTauri? It looks like it's a little bit slippy and a little bit greasy out there. But MDJ is following in the wheel tracks. You've got Fabay, you've got Ryan up to 4th. Phantom's up to 5th. He's got past Ginger. Martin's in 7th place. They've actually got past Spud. So Spud is coming through the field, actually. So Spud making hay while the rain falls down. But having said that, he's just gone off the road. And he drops down the order a little bit. What's happened to Fabay? He's in the middle of the road. And he's stopped. Was that a reset to track, I wonder? But if it is, it doesn't, well, it will matter to him at the end of the race. But Fabay is down to 14th. So we lose one of the race contenders. I think Fabay went off actually on the exit of, I want to say it was turn 7. Oh dear, sadly for him, he's out of the way. For everybody else, that's Merckx, then it's MDJ, it's Ryan, it's Phantom. Martin is making some progress. He's up to 5th place. Look at the traction he's got. Look at the traction he has compared to the cars around him. And was the intermediate tyre the right call? I think it's getting wetter and wetter. Martin has got so much grip on those intermediates. This is great fighting so far. You've got Simon Palmer, who's going to have a lot more traction as well than the Haas. Here we come towards turn 1. If this weather keeps up, the front 4 are going to tumble down the order. And Simon goes through. A little bit of contact. Oh, and that's a nice sweeping move from the Alfa Romeo. Wow, look at the McLaren of Joe. That was opportunity knocks, and he called and he answered the door and he went through, but he's got Owen trying to fight back on the inside at turn number 5. Then into 6. They're wheel to wheel through turn 7. This is great racing between the two different compound of tyre. And Joe goes in front. Great racing there. It's very difficult to say who's on the right tyre right now. I think we're on the crossover. Because SFR Martin and Simon are looking quick on the inters. But Joe is also looking quick on his brand new mediums, admittedly. The old medium tyres are starting to struggle. And the old hards, for that matter. So have a look at the on-track action. It is definitely heavier now. Is this rain going to last for long enough? Is it going to wet the track completely? Will it stay to the end of the race? No sign of a pit stop from the front three yet. They're out there trying to hang on. Martin in 4th place, and he's gaining corner by corner. That gap's come down a lot. That's Owen having a wobble. DRS has been re-enabled. Well, it's not quite wet enough then. We obviously have now had three. This is now the 3rd lap of green flag running after the safety car. But the race control's certainly thinking that it's safe enough to run DRS. Oh, look at the grip from Martin in the lower speed corners. Closing right up to the back of the car. Joe is also flying. I've got to say, Joe is the joker in the pack here. He's on brand new mediums and he's doing everything that all the others are struggling with on the hard, longer compound ran tyre, I should say. Get me words out eventually. Martin is up into 3rd place. And that is Simon Palmer moving forward as well past Phantom. He's going to try and look past to Joe, is he? Ooh, it's very close. And Phantom has got no grip. Oh, and that was clumsy from Phantom. He was off the road there. Runs into the side of Owen. Luckily, no damage done. They'll carry on the pair of them, but that could have been a lot worse. And here we go. Simon's looking for the next position he can gain in these conditions. Ooh, nice 4-wheel drift almost from Simon. Now, what will Ryan do? Will Ryan decide it's time to pit and go in for the intermediates? No is the answer. Joe is now just gambling and hanging on. But this is absolutely fascinating. This could go any way at all. Ginger Tiger's gone into the pits. It'll be interesting now to see what compound of tyre the Haas puts on. So Spud is also in as well. Now, so Spud typically will go with how the crow flies and would pick the intermediates. Logic would dictate that, and he has done. So it is getting wetter. Ryan is struggling. Those tyres are 14 laps old, and the front two are struggling to Martin. We could have a very good fight for the race victory here. Nitro goes past Phantom for 9th place. You can just see that the wake given off of the back of the cars is just causing Martin a little bit of understeer into the heavier braking zones. But we ride on board with the Williams. Joe is up to 4th, by the way. It's past Ryan. You can see, though, how close he's getting. Simon's past Ryan. Ryan's falling down the order. He's not spun off. He just doesn't have any grip. Owen's up to 5th, although he's right with Simon Palmer. It's going to be a case of where does Martin pick his overtake. Lap upon lap, he's going to be quicker now than these two dry compound drivers in front of him. When do they give up, I wonder? They're not giving up yet. Joe isn't. Ryan goes into the pit lane. And that's Martin through. He dives at the final corner. And that is a telltale sign. Drag reduction system has been disabled. And that means it's now wet enough for race control to think it's too dangerous to run with the rear wing slot open. And Martin is in 2nd. MDJ is 3rd. Joe Hamster looking quick in these conditions. He's using those medium tyres, but he is going to be in the same boat as the two AlphaTauris. He also has to pit if it carries on raining. Oh no, I wonder. Ryan has pitted for the hard tyres. Martin is in the lead. That's been a long time coming. Merck's going to try and fight back. He's got slipstream, but I don't think he's going to be trying to overtake into that corner, and he isn't. He knows he can't overtake through there. He might just slide into the back of the Williams. Oh, look at the grip. Look at it. There's so much grip for Simons to come out of that corner. He's alongside Joe, but he won't have the slipstream, and he's going to have to just be patient. And he does indeed slot back in. He's going to bring Owen, Keza, Nitro, Cameron all the way up through the field. Oh, that was a big wobble. That's MDJ round. MDJ is facing the wrong way. Owen's gone up the inside of Joe. A little bit of contact through there. That's just the difference in tyre grip. Keza goes past his on-track teammate. Merck carries on for another lap. Well, the intermediates are the tyre to be on at this moment. And Merck is just trying to hang on now. Well, we're on lap 17. Ooh, there's a yellow flag. That's a Mercedes of Atsu. I don't think he's broken if he's carried on. Oh, Owen into the back of Simon. And that lets Keza go through. MDJ didn't pit with his spin either. I wonder if the AlphaTauris are quite comfortable in these weather conditions. But I've got to say, it almost does look like they're on the wrong tyre. It's Simon just waiting to get on the power a little bit earlier than the AlphaTauri. He's going to look to the outside of turn 8. He can't make it there. He's going to get balked. And here comes Keza. Once again, an opportunity opens the door for the McLaren to go through. Simon's going to look to the inside. Oh, Keza get... Well, I was going to say Keza got... issues there, but that was very, very brave from Keza, and that is now an intermediate top 4. So the question becomes, once again, Merck and Joe Hamster running the medium tyres, are they going to pit? Well, Merck does. Merck has finally thrown in the towel. He's had enough of those tyres. Joe carries on. He's got new tyres, but if Nitro is going to get on the power... Oh, Cameron picks up a time penalty. And Cameron's on the intermediates. That's an interesting decision from him. That's Ginger Tiger round at turn number 11. Get Nitro. He's going to try and hang it around the outside. He goes through. Good save from Joe. That needed to be as well. That was a huge moment. Mercked in the pits, Phantoms in the pits. Ryan, I suspected, wanted to go for intermediates, but he picked the wrong tyre. And he's going to go and get that changed. So, the top 5, slightly different from usual. It's SFR Martin leading the way. He's got 3.5 seconds to Keza, who, don't forget, has a time penalty. Owen's lost it. On the intermediates, he was right with that group. Oh no, it's a disaster for Owen. He drops down the order. He's got Fabey a couple of seconds behind. Fabey is just deciding he doesn't want to pit. I've got to say, it's a valiant effort to stay out. I'm just looking to see if it looks like if it's getting out. Oh, what a big amounts of wheel spin from Fabey. Is the rain getting heavier or lighter? It's honestly quite difficult to tell from this angle. Now, Merck has gone for the soft tyres. Now, I'm almost stunned into silence. I wonder if this rain Merck is gambling on not being heavy enough. And Scotty is saying that they are expecting rain to start. And Fabey's come in, or MDJ's come in. Wow, this is now a race of another third, because we're on lap 19. Martin still leads. Kez is under pressure from Simon Palmer. The Alpine, he said he was feeling quite comfortable and quite confident about this race beforehand, did Simon. It is paying off for him. I've changed the gap so we can see the gap to the leader. Now, Joe is 11 seconds, let's call it 12 seconds behind. Now, if the rain does stop, Joe is in the position out of everybody to gain a huge advantage here. But it has to dry quickly. That's the other factor to throw in. And it is getting drier. The rain's not as heavy as it was. So we're now a race. We've now got another race on our hands to see how quickly it dries up well. Hold on to your hats, ladies and gentlemen. And yes, there we go. DRS has been re-enabled. And Simon Palmer's up to second. That was a wobble from Keza. Joe's picked up a time penalty. A little bit of an issue with the connection for Keza there. But Simon is up to second place. Martin's pitting. As is Simon Palmer. Keza's coming in. They're all coming in. All the intermediate drivers are coming into the pit lane. And that's going to give Joe Hamster the lead. Wow. Wow. What a race we're having here in Invictus Racing League. This is honestly one of the best strategic races I have seen in a long time. But Joe Hamster, the bravest of them all, hanging onto those medium tyres for a few laps. Can this pay off for him? Martin is coming out of the pit lane now. There's Merckx in third place, so he's on the soft tyres. Fabey's in fourth. Simon Palmer is on the hards, which is a curious choice, but he's in fifth place. You've got Keza, you've got Nitro, you've got Owen. So Spud and MDJ have decided they're not going to pit just yet, and MDJ is going to go past the Spud for ninth place. Now the race is on to get the race victory, because Martin, on those soft tyres, will be hammering tongs faster than Joe Hamster. He will be flying now. He does have Merckx trying to follow him, and those two can't afford to fight at this point in the race. They've got to work together if they're going to catch Joe. Keza goes past Simon. I think Simon's picked the wrong tyres. With just 7 laps remaining after this one, I think those hard tyres are going to struggle to fend off the soft shod runners. However, Owen is a bit further back, so we'll wait to see how that works. Cameron in 10th place, Ryan's in 11th. Just hasn't worked for Ryan. And the rest of the gang behind on the soft compact. Look how dry it is. Now that didn't just dry up, that has clammed up incredibly quickly. That is Keza past Fabey, who is just hanging on. I think Fabey is surely going to go. Oh, what a big moment for Fabey. He lets Simon go. Oh, that went all kinds of wrong, and he's got a time penalty for doing that as Fabey, sadly. Into the pits goes the Alfa Romeo. Nitro will move up a spot as well. Oh, and MDJ has picked up a time, and he's retired. Well, MDJ had been flying in this championship, but sadly, he's retired from the race. He's had enough. Everybody else who was on the intermediates, they've bailed onto a new set of soft compound tyres. That'll last to the end of the race. That's Atsu trying to go past Ginger Tiger for 9th place, but he can't make the move just yet. Going to try it. Well, he was thinking about a switch back, but I've got to say, good defensive driving that from Ginger Tiger. Just putting his car in a place to stop Atsu going either side of him on the exit. So 14 runners we have left, and Joe Hamster is the leader of the pack, but he's got 12 seconds worth of time penalties. That is a lot to have to contend with, and unfortunately it's going to make this a fight for the race victory between Martin and Merckx. Keza's got 6 seconds worth of time penalties. Simon has none. And the drivers around him have all got time penalties. This might yet work out for Simon. He could, in theory, finish on the podium, but he's 3 seconds behind Keza. And there's still 5 laps to go, and Keza's still on new soft tyres. That's going to be a tall order. Maybe he can close the gap to Joe Hamster, who leads the way. But Martin, well, that gap is less than a second. And Merckx is going to think how quickly he can go past Martin for the victory. He's not going to be close enough on this lap, but the track is bone dry again. Closing the gap down, but he's not quite close enough for now. This has been a thrilling race to watch. Absolutely riveting from start to finish. You got Fabey in 10th place with Phantom in 11th. That's the other close fight on the circuit, but Merckx wants another victory today. He wants to take as many points away from Ryan, who's down in 13th position, as he possibly can. Ooh, that won't help him though. Most of the grid now has a time penalty. But don't forget, I've said this so many times in this game, in this season, the Williams is a quick car in a straight line. It won't be easy for the AlphaTauri to go through. But Martin and Merckx are catching Joe Hamster. Now, Martin will try, if he wants to think about this strategically, Martin will try and just get into DRS of Joe and see if he can fend off Merckx that way. He's going to have to do something about Merckx on this lap, though. He's going to have to try and stop him going through. We just saw a new fastest lap of the race come up there. And there's another one. It's from Fabey, this time on a 33.1. DRS available for Merckx to use, which he has got it wide open. Approaching that turn 9 chicane. Ryan goes fastest now. He just isn't quite close enough. If Martin can just use Joe Hamster for a lap or two, it might give him an opportunity to save a little bit of ERS with a few laps remaining. Owen is past Simon. Oh, and if they keep fighting more, it's going to allow Keza a potential podium here. Now they're on 3-lap old tyres as Martin. Merckx on 5-lap old tyres. We know that the softs around Le Castellet, they can go to lap 10 or 11, but by about lap 8 or 9, they're pretty much toast. So Martin has got to just keep ahead for as long as he can. Owen and Simon still fighting big time for 5th place. Looks like it is now settled. Well, this has all the hallmarks of being a grandstand finish between Martin and Merckx. Simon and Owen are just stretched out a little bit now, and Nitro's going to be looking at the rear wing of that Alpine for the last spot in the top 6. Now, can Martin get into DRS on this lap? Closing every corner, the time gap is coming down. I don't think it's come down enough though. But Martin looks as if he's slightly ahead than what he was before, but Merckx knows he's got to make a move now. If he's going to do anything, he's going to look to the outside line approaching the corner, and I think Merckx going to go through. It's a yellow flag out there. That's Atsu who's gone round. And now Merckx will be thinking, I can use Joe Hamster instead of Martin and pull away. It's almost inevitable with Merckx. He's just flying in this league. He's driving like a demon. But for credit where it's due, Martin is right there with Merckx. He's not letting him go. Nor is Simon Palmer, although admittedly he has headed to the ocean there over the advertising hoardings on the floor. We go on to lap 25. Joe Hamster still leads. But for how long? Is Merckx going to do what I think he's going to do? He is. He's going to put the power down with the battery. He swings into the lead of the race. Merckx knew he had to get that move done. He's got to try and put a bit of a gap between himself and Martin, and that looks to be happening. Martin using the brakes down into 4th gear, then down into 3rd. He will have DRS, as will Joe by the looks of it. It's close. Although, having said that, he doesn't. And Atsu's out of the race, sadly. Here comes Martin for second place then. That's straightforward enough. Joe's not going to fight too hard for that one. He's got a time penalty to deal with. Let's have a look at those time penalties. We've got 6 seconds for Keza. Owen is nearly within that gap. But still not quite close enough. And Simon is still hanging on to Owen. Not quite to Keza, though. He might just miss out on a podium, unfortunately. Would have been his first podium in his return to racing for Simon after a year out. Martin's going to find it hard now. Let's have a look a little bit further back. That's Ryan and Ginger Tiger in 12th and 11th places. And Ryan is going to try and gain another point. Whoa, that was a little bit incorrect from Ryan. Just runs into the back of the Haas. Now he goes up the inside. He goes through. Ryan up to 11th. And I think that might just be as high as he gets, really. The car gaps in front of him might be just a little bit of a stretch too far. Joe is still keeping on the back of the Williams rear wing. He's not been let go yet. Despite his tyres being 15 laps old, he's really trying. And here comes Joe with the DRS to the outside line. And he goes through. Good move from Joe. I'm amazed that those mediums are still as competitive as they are. Oh, huge moment for Martin. Huge snap of oversteer over the curb for Martin. He survived that one. But he is on for second place, which he'll be chuffed about. I think Keza might just hang on to a third place, I think. He's got, let's just double check these time gaps in terms of penalties. Yeah, he's 3 seconds worse off than Owen, but he's 4.4 clear. And Simon Palmer, well, Simon Palmer's 6.7 behind Keza. This, it's got the hallmarks of being a showdown as Martin goes past on the final lap. That third place spot might not be over yet. But then, having looked at it, if we look at the time penalties again, Joe Hamster is 11.6 ahead of Simon. This is all close. This is all. Joe's still got a chance of a podium. He's 1.3 clear of Kez. Well, he needs 1.3 seconds. This is not over at all. We're on the final lap of the race. Joe going for it again. He wants to get past SFR Martin. He doesn't want to fight too much. Martin lets him go. I don't think Martin will mind if he finishes behind Joe on circuit. He's going to get second anyway. That's a time penalty for Cameron, who's just not really been at the races today. It's not worked out for him in the way that he was hoping for. I will be gauging the drivers' opinions as well. Later on, I will be able to hopefully have a chat with SFR Martin. But who will be the third driver? I'll message Mercked. He is on PC. And speaking of the man on PC, Mercked has just got 2 corners to go. It has been another fantastic drive from the AlphaTauri. Who can beat him at this point? He's been absolutely fantastic. It's another bombastic victory for Mercked in the AlphaTauri. It's going to be SFR Martin in second place. And now we start the countdown for the time penalty. Who's going to get third? It is Keza in the end. He was also on the PlayStation, so I can have a chat to him too. Owen almost getting a podium, missing out by 0.3 of a second. Joe missing out by 0.8, and Simon missing out by 1.5 seconds. That was so close. Unfortunate for those guys, but well done to Keza. He did enough in the end. And we still have just a spud to cross the line. Let's give him his time in the sun there. He's going to come across the line. He's going to be the last classified driver in 12th place and get some points on the board. So there is the AlphaTauri celebrating on the podium there. It's another victory for Merckx. And Simon Palmer has just confirmed to me to say that he had selected softs, but it gave him hards in the end. That is a shame. Well, let's have a look at these results then. For the race, we have Merckx with another race victory. We have SFR Martin in second place. Hopefully he'll join in the chat shortly. And Keza as well, for that matter. You've got Owen in fourth place, Joe Hamster in fifth, the Alpine of Simon Palmer in sixth place, Nitro seventh, Fabey eighth, Cameron ninth, and Ryan in the top 10 in the end. It's Phantom and Sir Spud who finished the race in 11th and 12th. Ginger Tiger retired, but is classified in 13th, having finished within the percentage rule. And Atsu and MDJ retiring from the race. We got a couple of people just joining in, so we will have a chat with them in a minute. And hopefully we will have Keza joining us. We currently have Martin in the lobby. And Keza has joined as well. That's great news. So hopefully, gentlemen, you've got your voice chat shared. I am hearing a little bit of an echo, so if you want to mute yourself whilst I'm talking so it doesn't reverberate in your ears, that would be greatly appreciated. But I do want to talk to the man who finished in second place in the feature race there. It is Martin. We're having a chat again, but how was that for you?
Weird, very weird. Yeah, I wasn't expecting the rain to be so long, I guess is the best way of putting it. But yeah, it was a bit of a gamble to go and enter so early, but the safety car, it was kind of like, well, everybody else is probably going to do it behind me, so I'll look in a date if I don't do it. So, yeah, went to inters, and for a while I didn't know whether it was going to work or not. It wasn't really until the safety car got called in and we started the next lap. You could tell that it was definitely going to go to inters. So, and then it was just about getting by the guys on the slicks as quick as possible. And I think Merckx, my teammate, he helped me out massively. I think once I get by him, he did a bit of teamwork and sort of held everybody up on the inters behind for a lap or two. Which gave me a bit of breathing room, and then obviously like DRS get enabled straight in and get the softs on, and then just go to the end. I saw Joe had quite a lot of pens, Keza had some pens behind me, and my teammates actually in with a chance of fighting for the championship. I don't, so I was never going to be fighting them.
Okay.
For the race win, so it was just about trying to get the 1-2 really, and yeah. Joe at the end, he was still going really strong actually on those mediums. I tried to get away from him briefly and I wasn't able to, and I was like, okay, I'll just like play the DRS game with him till the end. But yeah, surprised to be on the podium, to be honest.
I'll tell you what, it was a really good strategy, you know, to use the inses and then propel yourself up into the first placings. Did you have any? I mean, were you doubting? Obviously, you said in terms of the intermediates, you were doubtful about whether it was going to work. Did you have any idea, or did you think you were going to do what your teammate did, where he stayed out on the dries and then pitted for? Did you want to do that at any point, or was it just a case of Inters straight away?
No, on the forecast before the race, it said that there was going to be a bit of rain, but it was going to be light, and it was only going to be for like 5 minutes maximum. And the rain came down, and the safety car came out, and I saw everybody ahead of me didn't pit, apart from Owen. Sorry, Owen was the only guy who pitted ahead of me, and everybody else stayed out. And I was like, I'll just go for it, because if I'm wrong, I can pit again. And I had a feeling that everybody behind me was going to do the same thing and go the inters. And it's like, so if I am wrong and I need to pit, I know that the guys ahead need to pit again anyway, because they're still staying out. So maybe I lose like 5-10 seconds out of it if I have to pit again, if it's not going to work. My plan was to actually pit after, if the track wasn't wet enough, is after 1 or 2 laps behind the safety car. Once the safety car came in, I was going to go out for 1 or 2 laps. And if it wasn't going to go to inters, I would just come in and go mediums to the end. But yeah, as soon as the safety car came in, it was just ideal. The conditions changed for the better for me anyway, but not for the guys at front, obviously. And then yeah, it was just about trying to get by them, because the DRS stayed active for quite a long time. I was surprised how long it stayed active for. But yeah, I could tell coming out the corners that it was quicker. So yeah, sometimes you go for it and you get it right, and sometimes you don't. And this time it was, I just got lucky. So.
Well, it's a really good result to get, second place tonight, and certainly helps you with the Constructors' Championship. I've got one more question for you. In terms of the race next week at Abu Dhabi, what is a track for you? Is it one you enjoy, one you hate? What are you feeling?
I've not raced it in an actual race in this game yet, so I don't know what it feels like to do a full race in this game. But I've always actually liked Abu Dhabi, all the way back to before they made all the changes. It's always been a track I've enjoyed, so I'm pretty sure that I'll enjoy it, no matter what. So I think the new section they've put in at the end of the second DRS straight and stuff like that, I think it makes it a lot better. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. But yeah, I enjoyed the track. Is that the last race of the season or something, Abu Dhabi?
No. We're only on round 8 next week. We're only on round 8. We've got a long way to go. But well done tonight in any case, Martin. Congrats on the second place.
Thank you, and congratulations to everybody else.
Before we go over to Kez, I'm just going to have a quick mention of Merck, who has put a comment in. He's just said both races went well. Happy with the pace. Naturally, you won both of them, Merck. There were some tricky conditions, but managed them well. Congrats to the podium, and unlucky to MDJ, who I think deserved to score some good points in that race. He was very quick. Look forward to next week. So that's a comment from our race winner. And now over to our driver who finished third in the race there. Over to you, Keza. How are you feeling?
I'm alright, I guess. I didn't really expect the podium, I'm not going to lie, but, I'll take it.
You had quite a sort of underrated rise through the field. Tell me about the race from your perspective and how it felt for you.
Wait, I was in second in the sprint, but I got disconnected. And then, funnily enough, in about 30 seconds, I dropped down to about 14th, which is a bit crap. But yeah, I seen the weather report for the feature, and it didn't look like 20 minutes worth of rain. It was a bit weird, but the hards was alright. Got to the interstage, and when it started raining, it didn't get wet for ages. I noticed. Yeah. The DRS didn't disable, which is a bit weird, but yeah, I was deliberating going back onto the softs during the safety car, but I mean, it's a good choice I didn't, isn't it?
It is. So, a podium for you, it's a good result. It's certainly a result that you've been looking for. Do you think this is the turning of the tide for you, Keza? Because you have had a bit of misfortune this season.
Yeah, I tend to get that every season, I'm not going to lie. But, I hope so. I mean, next week at Abu Dhabi, it's be one of my favourite tracks. I always race well there anyway. So hopefully, I know I'm starting at the back next week, but hopefully I can repeat what I've just done.
No, I can completely understand. It's a really admirable goal for you to have. And what about the rest of the season ahead? You know, there's a long way to go, obviously, and you know, there's many things that can change over time. But what are your goals for the season? The rest of it, we've still got round 8 after this, and all the way through to 15.
Yeah, there's still. Well, no, I don't even think we're halfway through yet.
No.
But yeah, just try and pick up as many points as possible. Like, if it's there for the taking, we'll just take the points. I think it was a good team result today as well. Lots of points, so hopefully it'll propel us up.
Brilliant. Well, congratulations, Keza, on the 3rd place tonight. Great result for you, and hopefully more of the same next week.
Yeah, hopefully.
Well, in any case, that is our interviews concluded for this evening. It's been a fabulous pair of races. Wet weather interspersed with some strategy calls has made this one of the most tactically brilliant races in Invictus Racing League's Realistic Performance League over some time, let's say, in terms of the wet weather. But next week we are heading over to Abu Dhabi, a wonderful circuit that has been reprofiled in the last few years, which I'm sure will create a lot of overtaking opportunities for a number of cars out on circuit, and quite a mixed up grid order as well for next week, which will certainly throw the cat amongst the pigeons. Don't forget to tune in, of course, next week from Monday through to Wednesday for our Tier 4, 3, 2 and 1 races, before obviously tuning in for next Thursday for the next round of the Realistic Performance League. A big thank you once again to our partners with Venturi Studio and Grid Finder for being on board with us this season. It's wonderful to have them along, creating those amazing graphics and providing some opportunities for drivers to go and perform in other racing leagues. But let's be honest, you want to stay with Invictus at the end of the day. Do check out Invictus Racing League on the Discord, as well as the website and other social media platforms as well, including Twitter. But wherever you might be in the big wide world, I'm Jack TM53, your commentator for the Realistic Performance. Have a good evening.